Hello, y'all. So, want to talk today. Sorry, I'm trying to fix something on the screen. But yeah, so y'all wanted to talk today about the Hold on, let me see if I can adjust the brightness. No, can't do that. All right, whatever. All right, so talking today about the immortality, how we can simulate immortality. So I was talking to someone about today about this while I was doing Uber, giving them like rides and stuff. So well, giving rides. And I talked to somebody about this, mentioned it to them, how we can possibly do this. So, simulated immortality. This is how we can do this. It's a little complex. Well, with the growing recent developments in like genetic engineering, which allows for and stem cell research, which means we can grow cell tissue as well as genetically alter them to be different cells. I was talking about how we can like also perfect upon that a little bit to build like create organ molds where like we stuff the different sections of an organ, create molds for that through the cells, and then put it together to make the full organ. And of course, you have to like have something that digs in there to create the little hole spaces for the veins to go through and all that. If certain organ depends the organs require veins or not, which we also can create the different layers of cells too, and eventually replace whole new organs. We can even create neurons, little whole neurons that we can put in your brain, even possibly give you a whole new brain. But the thing is, with giving you a whole new brain, we have to install your memories, because putting a whole new brain into a body, it's the same thing as like taking your old ECM out your car and putting in a whole new ECM. I think I explained this in a few videos back. It's basically take the whole you gotta have to put the information back on it, so to put it back in your to make your car function again. So with the ECM, what they do is take the information from the old ECM and put it onto the new ECM, and that's hopefully your ECM isn't fried, or else they gotta get that information from somewhere else to be able to put that back on. But still, brain will work a lot like this. This is where we can use things like Neuralink and all others, probably other brain things we could put that will allow to record memories. And then how we record memories will also depend, because we could just record like all the visual stuff that happens and goes on the brain, that parts of the brain that get activated from different memories as well to trigger that, so the brain can memorize. But the thing is, your brain might forget sense of smell, sense of touch, how certain things smell and touch. You might just have to relearn those things, and relearn those things. Or we could possibly record that and re-put that into your brain as well. This is where like the Neuralink and all that, and like stuff would be put in your eyes to record all these things to put back into your brain, so that your brain can remember all this. But remember all this, so that way, you gotta retrain the brain to remember. However, and this is where we get like little ideas like simulated or immortality. Why I say that is because it's simulated because like it's not real immortality. It's just like we can create ways that can keep continuing a human to keep living with their same consciousness over and over and over. But even though you're living with your same consciousness, it's like, okay, this is my body. You put a new brain in me and put my memories back in my brain, I'm gonna remember who I am. Like, you will be able to function the same way. Like, all this is part of your body, so you'll function. Like, you'll still function. You'll still like see things how we're seeing it right now. Well, but at the same time, you just got your consciousness was copied from your old brain, put into your new brain. So it's like you're you're alive, but you still have some things you have to relearn, because it's a lot of information. The body records a lot of information that we don't really think of, and all that. But it's simulated. It's like you're basically constantly living and experiencing your world, but you still are dying like a natural human would die. You know what I'm saying? So you still are dying. Like, you still got dying body parts and all that, even though we're able to replace body parts. But the thing is, that makes us more and more like our actual physical things that we have, like cars, robots, and computers. All that is like we're that will put us on the scale. it'll put us on a scale of competing with AI, definitely, and that's why it's really important for us to advance forward on these things with humanism, with transhumanism and all that. We have to we have to utilize tech to help us out, to make us rebuild us like we are like machines. So rebuild us and just keep going like that. So we'll be able to compete with AI, almost similar to that. See, and like most people be worried about surgery, but like if we once you replace organs and stuff, it's like the surgery doesn't really matter. And then once we're able to really copy your consciousness, surgery definitely doesn't matter. And also we could probably cryo freeze your body, just freaking freeze your body like how they normally do, like in morgues and all that. Freeze your body to preserve it while we're preserve it while we're putting you through all that. While we're putting you through that. You might die, but like the fact that you dying during a surgical process might not even so much be a concern anymore when we could jumpstart you and just put you back, put the new organs in you and jumpstart you and get you back going again. We can freeze your body and then do the surgery and all that. But we have to figure out how to do surgery on a frozen body, which it's not hard to do. Actually, it wouldn't be hard to do. And we have to put you in a real deep sleep. Real deep sleep. Like you cannot wake out of this sleep at all. So so it almost be like it's like you're kind of dying, but you're not. But you might even. So the thing is, there is two different types of death. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Okay. So there's two types of death. So I gotta have my car running for this now. Light went off. That kind of concerned me a little bit. Don't want to be running my battery. But anyway. So, thing is, there's two types of death. You got the temporary death and you got not temporary. Okay, temporary death is the clinically dead death. Okay, this is where, all right, you're dead. Well, your heart stops, so they assume you're dead because your heart's not pumping blood, which the blood transports everything to the body, everything that your body needs. That's the blood. They are the deliverers, the transportation to transport all the necessary things that your body needs throughout your entire body. So that's why blood is very important. And if you lose, it's like your life force almost. You lose it, you're losing your life force. But at the same time, when you clinically die, your heart is basically stopping. So basically, your heart stops. So this means you're dead clinically. So your whole body, you're not fully dead because your body hasn't broke down and decayed at all. Hasn't broke down and decayed at all. If you continue to if your heart continues to stay stopped, then yeah, your body will eventually break down. You will become permanently dead. But this is why clinically dead, they try to your best to hurry up and bring you back to life. But we actually don't know how long clinical death can actually last before you actually fully start decaying. But they say some decay process start happening immediately once your body starts functioning properly. So this is the temporary death. This is clinical death, and this is the kind of death we can work with when performing with surgery. If we can freeze you during this process, then it's experimental because it's never been done before. Nobody's ever tried to. I don't know if anybody ever tried to perform surgery on a clinically dead person. Had to bring him back to life. We don't know. We don't know. But most likely, the best goal would just be to put you in a very deep sleep. Where you just basically zone out. Or there is certain types of poisons that can be used to just clinically kill you for a little bit, or slow your heart rate down to where you're almost like you're dead, but not really. It's a small little amount they have to use on you. It slows your heart down, make it seem like your heart dead. It was mentioned in Romeo and Juliet they took the poison, but I think it's an actual real poison that does that. I don't know what the poison is, so can't really give no can't really give no pointers on what that is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's called. I just know it's likely a real thing. It is a real thing. It's probably been used before. Small, depending on how much you give a person, determines and how. I think probably works like how tranquilizers work. You know, I think if you gotta give a person enough to knock them out. If you give them too much, you can end up killing them. So. Too much, you can end up killing the person. So yeah, we're almost similar to that, but yeah, it's supposed to, like, it slows your heart rate down so that way you can but we could probably use that for medical field to give us a chance to, like, do clinical surgery on somebody without really having to do some crazy processes, like probably shocking their heart to stop it real quick just to do clinical surgery, or then having to freeze them and do that, or put them in a deep sleep and not hoping they wake up. I mean, well, deep sleeps during surgery usually work out for the best, but the complications come when you're a old person. But when you're an old person, I think if we do this process, if we're giving you new organs, then it's likely we can do this without fully killing you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like grow you a new organ. Well, really not grow, but like grow sections of the organ and put it together and build you a whole new organ and then install it in you. And if you happen to clinically die in the process of them performing this, to probably just try to their best to finish and then just jumpstart you. Or we might even get to the point where we don't even have to freaking do it. Depends though. It depends. But might even get to a point where we don't even have to we don't have to really worry about you going into a clinical death, because we can just use a system that can probably go in and mechanically just pump the heart while they keep doing the surgery. It's a lot to it, but this is like all ties into the simulated reality. But clinical death is the death we can work with when doing that, even though they might not even have to worry about clinical death anymore if we advance the technology that'll allow it to keep pumping your heart while we work on your body to give you a whole new organ. Now, when it comes to replacing your heart, complications may occur. You might have to be clinically dead for a minute in order for us to get it through. So that means we'll have to use something in replacement of the heart to keep you alive. That's great. So, what the hurt? I have to use something in replacement of your heart to keep you alive. So, I have to reclone some of your blood too to put it back in your body, because there's gonna be some spills with blood. Trust me. Surgery is not clean. Surgery is not a clean process. It's not a clean process. But yeah. Anyway, but this is where we get the simulated reality. It's like we're constantly rebuilding you to keep you functioning properly, can keep you going like a machine. That's really the summary basis of the video. And it's like, I was talking to a guy. There was other experiments we could do. I probably already mentioned some other experiments we could do to keep things going, like actually make this possible. My goal is to really make a book on this eventually, where we can get all the ideas on what we can do to keep, to actually get this a practice into the near future. Because AI is about to become a thing. We already know this. It's going to be something we're going to have to compete with to get jobs. In order to be on the same level as them, we have to be rebuilding ourselves like how we rebuild them. So, yeah. And I was thinking, like, okay, I was also thinking like these little nanotechnologies though, but I don't know how big a vein is, but I don't think we need something small enough to just drill like holes in certain parts. Like, say if I grow your whole new bone, you have veins that come from your bones, because Your bone is where the blood gets produced. Believe it or not, blood gets produced in the vein, in the bones, or it starts from the bones and it starts traveling. Anyway, yeah. So that's where your white blood cells also come from too. Your white blood cells are in your bones as well, because it's in the bone marrow produces a lot of the white blood cells and all that. So or maybe I might be saying that wrong. Might produce it, or it's might where they stay. I don't know. I just know the bones have something to do with the blood, because you have your veins connect to your blood. If I'm correct, what I read a while ago, a long time ago, your blood is produced in your bones. And this is why you have veins connected to your bones. And this is why bone cancer could affect your blood. So, affect your blood. So, now thing is, if we'll need like nano things to like drill holes, because you gotta remember, like in these little new forms of tissue that we're growing for you, so that way it can map. But we have to map out how the veins go through these organs and these tissue and these bones, so that way we can, once we map it out, we can use the nanotechnology to drill holes in the tissue that we grew, and the new organs that we grew, and the new bones that we grew, to make room for the blood vessel to come in form, or we can probably install a whole new blood vessel using the same nanotechnology. It'll drill the hole and then also pull the new blood vessel in, depending on how big blood vessels are. Now, I think human blood vessels are pretty big enough, so that way we don't really have to make something crazy small. We don't have to make something crazy small that is almost implausible, not plausible to create. We can create something small enough. So I'm looking at my vein right now. It looks pretty big. Probably because it has blood pumping through it. I don't know what veins are, how big veins look when there's no blood pumping through it. But at the same time, I think they look pretty big enough, so that way even if you had to create some nanotechnology to create it, we don't have to create something crazy too small. Like, the smaller things get is harder to make for some reason. Harder to make. I mean, we can use technology to make things that small, but to make them small and function, like mechanically function, that's where we get some problems. But this like looking at human blood vessels, we probably wouldn't have to create nothing crazy small. Actually, they look pretty big enough for like to create a whole new vein, where some nanotechnology, as it drills to make space for it, can pull the new vein in, like one drills, or you can send one in to drill and clear out what it's drilling, and then have the another one right behind it come pulling the vein in, and as it maps it out and puts it in there. So I mean, these things are possible. This is just the many plausible things we can perform right now to actually do this and actually get this stuff started. And I want to make a whole book on it, so that way it can be later introduced in colleges, and we can actually really be introducing this into this type of practices, into the eventually pioneer the technology necessary, and then eventually have it in the medical field as an actual official practice in hospitals that we can perform on people, and actually do for people. And then create you almost like a whole new brand new body if you want. Now, when we come to creating a whole new brand new body, this is where we can either use artificial wounds, here we go, we come into some problems. So using artificial wounds to grow you a whole new body, we gotta remember that these are living beings that can eventually create their own consciousness, but we can expand upon artificial wounds to have a living body, whole body with no brain in it, to keep it alive and functioning, and clean and functioning, so that way we can eventually put brain in there for who put the person who wants this body brain in there. So this is the way we can keep people younger for indefinitely. And this is where I know people get a little scared on this, but it is what it is. This is probably something that's eventually is going to happen anyway. So this is, I mean, it's possible. It can be done. Probably build a whole new human body. People don't even realize that. But there's a lot of breakthroughs for it. Even though it sounds scary, there's a lot of breakthroughs for it. Like for people who are part of the trans community, y'all can stand to benefit from this. If you actually physically want to finally become the opposite sex that you was born of, you can actually eventually have your brain transferred over into a body that's the opposite sex that you had personally grown for you. And then that's just one way for people who prefer to just keep living and keep on going. You don't want to let go of life, you just want to keep going. Fair enough. I mean, to each their own. I'm not a big fan on living long. I prefer to just live and just do what I do, and then bye-bye, see you later. Yeah, so for people who prefer to keep living long, we do all stand to benefit from this, because you can keep on living indefinitely with growing you a whole new human body, where you just keep on going with life. On top of that, and it's a whole lot of benefits, actually. That's really only two benefits. Is just want to keep living long and live as the opposite gender. That's the main benefit there. Now there will be, as for laws and all that or how that gets created, I'm not really gonna get into the politics of it. I mean, as we go along and start doing these things, we eventually start creating our own self-regulation systems anyway. I'm really at my 20-minute mark, but we create our own self-regulation systems that'll eventually as we go along. But the U.S. Transhumanist Party are ones who like to talk about these topics and actually idealize on this, like right now. Like, this is an actual party out there in the U.S. They actually like to talk about these things, get it in talks, get it in thinking mode, get these ideas already done, so that way when we start actually physically doing these things, we are prepared. So they idealize it, figure out what to come up with, what we're going to do regulation wise and all that. These are things that are constantly discussed there, and with the members of the U.S. Transhumanist Party. They got forums like Biohacking Forum, if you want to join that, talk with other U.S. Transhumanists and U.S. Transhumanist Party members like myself and others. So this is where we like to get the talks about things going, and people like to discuss some policies on what can be created to probably like help get some regulation going, community regulation going, and all that. So can't get really full of that. I'm at my 20-minute mark. I gotta stop, but I will talk more on these topics soon. And also got a new shirt, Kudu Kada on the shirt. I don't know if y'all see my Kudu Kada last intro from my old video, other video, but yeah. I'm gonna try, but never mind. But yeah, made myself a new Kudu Kada shirt. A little happy about that a little bit. But anyway, yes, stay tuned and signing out.